Today we're going to talk to you about our Branson, Missouri vacation in the off season. I'm David.
And I'm Marcy.
So first things first is we planned ahead before we went there, and then after we were there a few days, we ran into a couple that said they didn't know what to do and they couldn't find things to do. Us personally, I don't know how you could be bored in Branson and the surrounding areas because there's plenty to do for a long time. So when we first got there, after we checked in, we went down to the Branson Boardwalk, and we walked down there for a beautiful sunset.
He almost killed himself.
No, fell off a stump. But anyway, we'll put pictures up. And so also I would suggest when you get there, hit the Walmart up to get stuff for your hotel room because we experienced a snow day that snowed us into the room. We'll talk about in a minute. But on the second day there, we went to the Butterfly Palace. And
that was one
fun.
of my favorites. I have two favorites. The Butterfly Palace is one of my favorites. It was awesome. There were butterflies everywhere. You get little nectar flowers, and you can put the nectar straight on the flower, and you attract more butterflies.
Yeah, that's the tip. We pulled the little top off and poured the nectar right on the flower and put it back on. And they had a mirror maze and stuff like that you can do in there, which is pretty fun. And a little reptile thing like that too in there. So there's plenty to do there. And then we left the Butterfly Palace. We went to the top of the rock.
That was yummy. That's my second favorite. So two of my favorites in a row. David has to talk about the rest.
No, that's not true. The top of the rock is a must see for sure. There's a lot going on there. We was in the off season and still spent almost 5 hours there.
Yeah.
And we were busy the whole time.
It was gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Go there, look it up, and see what it's about. But we did the golf cart self-guided tour, and we were the only ones there because we was in off season. So we had plenty of quiet, peace, scenery without people all around you. Take the pictures you want, enjoy the waterfalls. It was pretty cool. And they had a little mini bar, a little bar inside of the cave, which was neat. And they had one employee there, and we got us a little drink on the way through. Mm-hmm. And
so
very nice.
You'll notice when you're in Branson that there's one person that keeps coming up. It's the owner of
Bass
Pro Shops. There's a huge Bass Pro Shop down at the boardwalk, and then the man who owns the
Top of the Rock
is the same person. So you'll see his name a lot in Branson, and he owns a lot of land around in the area. He also owns a nature preserve that we did not go to this time, but we plan to go to the next time we visit Branson.
Absolutely. There's a lot we didn't get to do in 1 week, so I don't know how you do before. We was busy every day. And when we was at the top of the rock, there's a lot there. So he has a museum, and they have a restaurant, and they have a van that will come pick you or take you from one location to the next, which is nice. And I asked the ladies how late they stopped running, and they said whenever the last vehicle's out of the parking lot. So they waited, and we were actually the last ones out of the parking lot.
He took us straight to our truck. We did not have to walk.
Yep. And the restaurant, yes, it's on the high end of money-wise, but the beautiful view that we had, again, all season. So we had a beautiful area to sit at. I'll show a picture where you can see out the glass and see over the view, the countryside. It's magnificent. And open fire, well, they had a real wood burning fire. And they kept that running for us or going for us. It was very nice.
Yeah, and the fire was inside the container from an old steam engine locomotive.
Yeah, the stack for it was pretty cool. And she told me to go to the bathrooms because the details that this guy does is this. He's very detail oriented if you've not been there. I mean, it's hard to explain, but if you ever go there, just go to the bathroom, look at the little hinges, look at everything. It's just weird. He got details everywhere. And the museum took a long time to go through. Basically, it starts like prehistoric stuff, all the way to Native American stuff, all the way up to probably President Hoover or something like that.
And I won't spoil it, but we saw a couple of prehistoric animals that we had never seen before in museums.
Yeah, definitely. And all kind of stuff. It's really nice. And it's very easy to flow through. It's not all confusing and clustered. So that was nice. So that was a very nice day. And I would go up there if it was busy in the busy season. I would go up there for at least 6-7 hours to spend. It was very nice up there. Let's see. That was the end of that night. What did we do the next day? Oh, that's a snow day. Monday was a snow day.
It snowed.
Yeah, we had a pink Jeep tour scheduled. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it got canceled because they had snow. Where we live, we see snow maybe once every 17 years. So it was nice to have the snow day, and we made some form of a snowman. We got to go out there and enjoy that. We were out there playing in the snow, and everybody else was trying to stay out of it.
Don't laugh at our snowman.
Yeah, so that was interesting. And that comes into play of stocking up at a store when you get there, because we had food and leftovers in the room we were in, so we didn't have to worry about going out on the roads or anything, which I think would have been fine, but it was nice to not have to worry about it. So we just stayed in and relaxed, hit the jacuzzi, and had a good day. And the next day, well, it's Tuesday, yeah, we went to the College of the Ozarks, the Keeter Center. That's a must as well. That's if you're looking for a place to eat, obviously the landing, the top of the rock, and then the Keeter Center, where a lot of the college kids work there to pay for their tuition. Get there a couple hours before, about 3 hours before, and walk around the area. If you're into older farm equipment and stuff like that, they had tractors, a bunch of old tractors and stuff in that little area. They had she petted some milk cows.
Yeah. Almost got lit by a cow.
And they have all the plants and flowers. And
they have a lot of greenhouses there. I guess there's some botany classes, and it's very farm oriented there.
Agricultural.
Agricultural. Yeah. But I think they have classes and everything. And one of my favorite memories from that place was how nice everyone was. Everyone was just overly nice and went out of their way to make sure that you really enjoyed yourself.
Oh yeah, I'll say that. I didn't say it at the beginning, but I'll say that when you said that. I brought up a good point. I don't know how it is in the busy season. I've never been there in the busy season. So we had mostly pretty much dealt with all locals because there wasn't a lot of tourists to mix who's who. Everybody that worked everywhere that we were at and everywhere we dealt with was extremely respectful. I mean, we had a great time everywhere we went. And I said to her after half a week there that that's the only place I've ever been that I would actually want to go live there. There's so much to do outdoors, indoors, and surrounding areas, the friendly atmosphere. I would love to live there, honestly. So let's see, we did the Keeter Center, and then that was that day. And then the next day we went to Wild Animal Safari.
Oh yeah.
So you don't have to be stuck right in Branson. Get out and do stuff. So an hour away or hour north from Branson in Springfield, Missouri is a place called Wild Animal Safari. Now, truth be told, we pulled up to it. We're like, are we sure? But
it looks a little sketchy at first. It looks small.
It is not at all small. So that's what we thought. It was like, okay. But when we got there, we rode the bus. You could take your own vehicle through all the land and acres they have to feed the animals. But we hopped on the bus with the lady because we bought some food to feed animals, and then she had a big old bucket full of food to feed animals. So we got to see all kind of animals come up to the bus, and
you have to hang on to your bucket.
Yes. Definitely make sure you have the cup away from the window and you feed the animals individually, especially the ostrich. The ostrich is probably the most aggressive animal that you'll come across. So they're food hungry. They'll get you, and they'll try to take the cup. They'll be careful with your hand, hold it flat, because they're definitely different.
But there were a few things that it was the first time we had ever seen the animals in an environment like up close, and probably the only time we will ever see the animals up close. There was a huge elk. He couldn't even get his antlers inside the bus, and he was angry about that. But there was a cow that was so sweet. It was a Brahma cow, bull, not a cow. And lots of female elks.
Llamas, bison.
Yeah, llamas. There were wolves,
Yes, and wolves and the hyena were in
emus.
separate cages, so they couldn't get to the bus. And there was emus, a lot of types of different types of deer and stuff like that, gazelles, all kind of stuff actually. And yeah, that's the cool thing about the bus, like a school bus. So the bus doors open, and she has the bucket there, and some of the animals stick their head in there, and you're right there. You could pet them and stuff like that. It's very nice. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. A lot of land, big area. I don't know how many acres exactly, but it took a while to get through there, and it was pretty cool.
It's really pretty. It would be especially pretty if you go in the fall because there are a lot of hardwood trees up there in that area, and it'd be really pretty.
Yeah, fall would be pretty anywhere in that area, I'd imagine, because of the foliage and changing. And when we were there, pretty much most trees had the leaves off of them. So when we were going through the tour with the wild animals, you could see from hilltop to hilltop through the trees because there was no leaves. So that was kind of cool too. I like that. Also, the highlight of that trip was the lemurs.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. So when my kids were growing up, we watched a show called Zaboomafoo, and my kids loved the ring-tailed lemur in that show. So when he said we could pet ring-tailed lemurs on this trip, I was excited. And it was everything I imagined. And we actually got to pet the lemurs twice, so we've got another section coming up with the lemurs. But this one was a lot of fun. The lemurs were very well behaved. They had the cutest little hands, and they took the food out of your hands. I think we fed the raisins, yeah, the white raisins, and they just took it out of your hand, and they were so sweet, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, they would hold your fingers and want more.
Their little hands feel like little rubbery gloves, like they can grip really good. So that was pretty cool, like a little child trying to tug on you for some more food.
Yeah,
that was pretty neat.
But they were really pretty, and I really enjoyed that.
Then when we left there, we drove back to Branson, and we went to Gettin Basted because I wanted some barbecue, and they won a lot of awards. I got the big boy plate that you're supposed to share.
No,
the third pound of each
did not
meat.
Share. No.
Her favorite was the smoked turkey.
Yeah, I really liked the smoked turkey. It was really good.
And my favorite on the plate was the pork, I guess, pulled pork. I'm from South Carolina, so I'm used to eating barbecue pork. A lot different than out there.
The ribs are really good too.
The ribs were really good. Mm-hmm. I'm not a huge brisket fan, but the brisket was super tender. It pulled apart really easy, and the sides were okra. The fried okra was good.
The potato salad.
Potato salad and coleslaw and stuff. But it was good. Again, all season, no waiting.
Yeah, the service was really great.
And like the Keeter Center, going back to that, I called before I ever left and made reservations. So make sure you do make reservations before you go if you go into busy places. That's a little tip, so you don't have to sit there and wait for 45 minutes, an hour for a seat. So, but again, all season, beautiful, no crowds, no worries. Mm-hmm. So then that day, that was it for that day, right?
Yep.
For there, okay.
Yeah.
And then the next day we saw the show 6.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty good.
And I'm not sure that he said this, but this was our honeymoon.
Oh no, I didn't say that.
And we stayed in the morning of 6. We had just some time at the place where we were staying, kind of relaxed a little bit that morning, and then we went out to a show.
Yeah. I mean, we saw stuff, and then we, had some downtime. And jacuzzi time. That's what I call it. Jacuzzi time.
Yeah, we had a jacuzzi in our room.
We did have a jacuzzi.
It was nice. It was especially nice on that snow day to go inside and warm up.
Yep, that was nice. Show 6 was in the afternoon, about 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
Something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty good. 6 brothers. You can read about it online at Tripadvisor or whatever, something like that. It was a good show. They were entertaining. It was pretty talented the way they did different instruments with just their vocals or the no instruments other than
they're an a cappella group, and they were great.
They were good, and so after 6, what did we do after 6?
We went back to the room. that
And we just
night.
ate. We had leftovers, didn't
we
we?
had leftovers
Getting
that
Basted.
night. Yeah, getting
Leftovers.
basted leftovers.
I had a few leftovers from that stuff and stuff we bought. So
Yeah.
yeah, we stayed in that night. And the next day was the Pink Jeep tour. We did there's different packages you can do. This was the 3-hour tour. That's the one we decided on, the bigger one, because we've never been there. And originally, this is another tip that we were do. We had it for that Monday for a reason, because I wanted it at the beginning of the week so I can hear from a local person and take me us a tour around the whole area so we can kind of get more feel of it that we couldn't find online. That was the idea. Well, the weather changed that, so we had the Pink Jeep tour later, but it was still a wonderful thing. I've never done Pink Jeep before, but I'm definitely would do it again in different locations because it was cool. The tour guide was very nice, took us a lot of places, talked about it outside of the city, inside the city, and their own private. They have a private area they go to where they can do some little bit of off-roading.
Rock crawling.
Yeah, a little bit of rock crawling in the Jeep. Beautiful scenery, a little log cabin to take pictures at. That was nice. Mm-hmm. And it took us through the little town of Hollister. And we've seen it, and it's right outside of Branson. Mm-hmm. So when we got done with there, we went to eat in Hollister.
Yeah. Oh, don't forget that little coffee shop we stopped at.
Paris or something like that, was it called?
It had Paris or Fleur or something in the name. But there's a stop along the Jeep tour where he stops to have a bathroom break and get a cup of coffee. And they have delicious desserts and coffee. Yeah,
they do. And it's a beautiful view right across the street where we were parked at. Mm-hmm. Right over the edge. You can see down on the city.
Right.
That was nice. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they'll stop for a bathroom break and all that and take care of you. On the tour, though, we went behind the dam, the river, and he said there was trout in there. People can go trout fishing when the river's low and the dam's not flowing and whatever. So, again, and a lot of trails, hiking trails, and if you're an outdoors person, there's fishing and there's hiking and stuff like that. It's not just all about shows or going to a mall. I like the outdoors, and there's a lot of outdoor stuff to do there. Mm-hmm. So that's very nice.
That's one of the reasons why we plan to go back again. It was cooler weather when we were there, and we were only there for a week, and we didn't get to do a lot of the outdoor stuff that we ran into. So Top of the Rock was really the only outdoorsy hiking thing we did. But we definitely want to put more of that on a second trip to Branson.
Absolutely. So then we kind of bounced back and forth. But after the tour, we went back to Hollister to eat. Mm-hmm. And we went to a place called the Pour House. Like a pitcher pour. And they had really good food too.
Pour from a tap. They have good beer
Pour from a tap. But they had really good food, and I don't know what the parking would be like in a real busy season because it's an older town. Mm-hmm. Parallel parking, a full-size 4-door Ford F-150. We did it, but I don't know what I would do in the middle of the busy season. I'd have to find a parking lot somewhere and walk, take a hike.
Yeah.
That's the only way I could see doing it.
But it was worth it.
But it was worth it.
It was really good food.
And then there was a little coffee house, Hollister little coffee house.
Yeah.
Little, what do you call it? Like
we had coffee for dessert.
Latte or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was good. Good place to sit there and relax if you're into that. That was actually nice. Yeah. And then we came back.
And there's a roaster there too. The person who owns the coffee shop in Hollister also has a roaster shop in Hollister where he roasts the coffee for the coffee house. So it's interesting to go in there and see how they roast the coffee.
Yep. And then after that, this was a real busy day. And after that, later we went to the Comedy Jamboree. Comedy Jamboree show.
That was funny.
Oh, speaking of that, the theaters or whatever you call them, where you go sit to watch the shows, you can tell they've been around a while. The seats are small. I'm not a small guy, but I'm not a super obese guy either. But the seats are kind of tight. And there was a guy who, the little tiny armrest and no cup holders. So there was a guy there who asked, it was a comedian. We didn't know it was a comedian at first. It was one of the comedians, the funny guy, who was helping sit people, and he was making jokes and cutting up. It was hilarious. Well, the gentleman said, "Hey, where's the cup holders at? They don't have a cup holder." And he goes, "She's sitting right next to you." and that was pretty funny. To his wife, and anyway, it was pretty funny, and that was a good little show. And then I think that wraps it up for that. No, we went to the yard.
Yep, we went to the yard after that.
After that,
for all the calories.
Yeah, it's vacation. We don't. We eat the calories. We don't count the calories on vacation. So that was fun.
So you'll enjoy pictures of our milkshakes from the yard.
Yes, there's a place called the Yard Milkshake Bar. They have other locations, but we've never been to one, and we were right there, so that's what we did when we was there, and that's very good. Of course, we had our own. I had my own. I wasn't gonna share.
Nope.
You can share them; they're huge, but I had my own. And it was nice. So that wraps up that day. That was a busy day.
And we ate it all.
Oh, every bit of it. I still got it. It's right here on my waistline. Let's see. That's that day. Then the next day we went to the Branson Wild World. So Branson has a Wild World. I don't think it's been there that long, but I don't know. I've never been there. I mean, been to the city before. The Branson Wild World has a bunch of animals in there. You can, I got everything from alligators to fish to hyenas to tigers to wolves to New Guinea singing dogs,
Fish,
lemurs, all kind of stuff.
Turtles, porcupines.
Ooh, nurse sharks and sea turtles.
Yeah. And you actually get to feed and get close to a lot of the animals. I fed the nurse sharks.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and there are a lot of things to pet in there. There were dingoes. Well, they're not dingoes.
No,
they were wild dogs.
That's my only complaint, because I even Googled it again to make sure I was right, but whatever. They have a sign that says the dingo experience or something like that. And what it is, I don't regret doing it, but to me it's misleading. You can pay to go inside of a room. Of course, they have somebody there, and they have younger pups or younger. They're not puppies. They're pretty tall, about 20 pounds, and they're New Guinea singing dogs, not New Guinea singing dogs. Right. It wasn't the Australian, dingo or dingo. It's a New Guinea singing dog, and that was a pretty good experience. They got to climb all over you and just like a young dog or pup.
And we got to hear them sing a few times. It's a howl, but they all howl together, and it sounds like they're singing in unison. It was really neat.
We saw the adults outside, and they were singing and going crazy to it sometimes. So we got to interact with the New Guinea singing dog, the nurse shark, and then we got to see more lemurs.
They were not as nice as the ones at one place.
Nope.
The first place we went to, they were very well behaved. At the zoo in Branson, they were a little bit more rambunctious.
I think the thing is, this is my thoughts, and we talked about it, is the Branson place, they have too many lemurs at one time, and they're with you. So you have a lot of them fighting over a little cup of food. So they get it, they're really hyper. Whereas the other place up in Springfield had like 5 or 6 of them in there.
Yeah, and we had a lot of food to feed them, so there was plenty to go around, and they weren't fighting for the food.
Yeah, big difference because of that right there. You just have too many in one area with a small amount of food versus the other area. So.
But they were still pretty. They were gorgeous. We got some good pictures. We still got to hand feed them. So if you don't feel like driving all the way up to Springfield to see the nice lemurs that are well behaved, then you'll still get that experience at the Wild World in Branson.
It's like trying to feed 5 children versus feeding a classroom full of children at one time. That's kind of what it's like. They're all fighting over each other trying to get to the food. So that's the big difference. But highly recommend that place too. I mean, if you like animals or like interacting with animals, I mean, like I said, they have everything from seahorses, different types of snakes, parrots, turtles, you name it. Pretty much they have it. Tigers, hyenas, wolves, kangaroos, and chickens.
Yeah.
Might even see a squirrel.
And then we went to the Indian place.
Indian Clay.
Yeah.
What's it called? Indian Clay. Yep.
Yeah.
That was a restaurant. After we left there, we went to the Indian Clay. That was good food, good Indian food. I wanted lamb. They didn't have lamb.
Yeah. The guy on the Jeep tour recommended us either go to the Indian restaurant or to the sushi restaurant. The sushi restaurant was closed, so we went to the Indian restaurant.
Yeah, it's called India Clay, is what it was called. Really good food. Again, I wanted the lamb, but they didn't have it, but no big deal. And that was good. Let's see, what else? Oh, Anthems. Later that day, we got to go to another show, Anthems of Rock. This show, it was a good show. Because I like older rock, 80s rock and stuff like that. It was good. She likes rock. So it was a good show. However, they asked you there not to videotape their performances. You can take as many pictures as you want, but not to videotape it. Whereas that's the only show. We went to four shows? Yeah, we went to 4 shows, and that's the only show that asked you not to videotape it.
Yeah.
So I don't know the reasons. I don't know if it's because of the music and whatever, but
it was probably my least favorite show out of the 4. Just it wasn't as entertaining. The singers weren't as good, but I mean it was still entertaining. It was a good.
No regrets. It's just of the 4 that was the 4th place. Yeah. I guess is not what we was really rating them, but yeah, that would be the 4th place there.
And I noticed that they did a lot of the same songs as the other 3 places. The other 3 places had a really good variety of songs, but Anthems of Rock did a lot of the same songs as the other 3.
Yeah, it was cool. And
yeah.
So then, let's see, what did we do? That was the end of that night.
It was a long day.
It was another long day. Oh, because we went off season, so none of the shows started till Wednesday. So we packed in all the shows on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and we had to leave out on Sunday.
Yeah.
So Saturday we packed up, and on my itinerary before I left, I always leave wiggle room on my itinerary just in case you learned something. Whether I'm glad we did, because things got to be scheduled around. So that last Saturday, I had a day where we can do whatever we want and have one show. We pretty much just relaxed that day and packed and got ready to go, drank some wine, jacuzzi, stuff like that. And then that night we went to the show that supposed to be their most famous show in Branson, the Haygoods.
It was really, really good. They put on a really good production. You can tell that they put some money into it. Great lighting, great show, great visual effects, and the music is awesome. It's actually a family, kind of like 6, but it's not all brothers. There's also a sister, and she plays every instrument.
She plays a lot of instruments. They do a lot of instruments. They do really good. It's there's whoever, I think several of them, because they talk about it. The family members, I think, is pretty much mostly family, if not all family. I'm not sure.
It was brothers and sisters.
They do all the pyrotechnics, the lighting, whatever you call it, the show. That's what really makes the show. It's because if they were just sitting up there singing and doing stuff, it'd be like a lot of the other shows. But they spend the money in the actual entertainment.
Yeah.
They even use. Don't ruin it.
Don't give it all away. Don't give it all away.
But they do a lot of neat stuff. We really like it, and they said they change up their stuff. I thought it would change every season. I don't know. They said that they change up what they do to keep it from being the same thing every time. So when you go back, you see a different show.
Yeah. That's
really good too. And they highly recommend you videotape it because they're smart. I mean, why wouldn't you? If you did a show, you'd want people to videotape it so you can show other people. That's free advertisement, word of mouth. So they stress, hey, videotape as much as you want. And during the I call it halftime, but during the intermission, they put up their phone number, or a phone number, and says text any of your stuff. And we text, they wanted to know what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it. I text them honest feedback. And their sister, Catherine, I think was her name, she texted back and said, appreciate the information, asked more questions, and give her feedback. I mean, I'm not going to, that's kind of weird to give out your phone number because you don't know what kind of people are out there. But we're not stalkers or nothing. So gave honest feedback, and then that was it. Professional, So they're smart. It's advertising. So that's pretty clever on them, to interact with their customers. So that was the end of our trip. The next day was road trip back home.
Did you tell them about the dead end?
No, but yeah, because we were talking about Branson and the area around there, but we drove there about 11 hours, whatever. in Arkansas?
We were
or
in Arkansas.
coming
in the
through
middle
Arkansas,
of nowhere.
no man's land, you know, almost like northern Georgia with some banjos. No, but we were going through Arkansas. A GPS, Google Maps put us down a road. And
A dirt road.
A dirt road. And there's a sign that literally says, your GPS is wrong. Turn around, dead end. So this gentleman who lives near that sign obviously had a lot of experience with people coming up to his house with a GPS. So it basically put us at a dead end where people's house is at. Mm-hmm. But we just continued down, looked at the map and mapped it out and got out of there. No big deal.
And there were a lot of interesting bridges in the area. We've got pictures of a couple of bridges where there's no side on the bridges. Rails. It's just concrete over a river.
One-way bridge, by the way.
Yeah, it was a one-way bridge.
Year 2024. I don't think I've seen that. I'm going down a regular back roads. I think the speed limit was 55, which is way too fast for those hills. Even though I like drive fast, it's just can't see anything. All of a sudden, I come up on something. I didn't see it to the last minute. All of a sudden, there's a sign at the bridge. Not, hey, a bridge is coming up. It's one way. No. When you get there, there's a sign, and you look and you're like, you're hitting the brakes because there goes from being 2 lanes of traffic to one way only bridge. Yeah. Thank goodness I was the only one on the road at the time, and it wasn't somebody like me on the other end that didn't know where we're at, and that would be an interesting slam on brakes experience. But we had fun on the way up there, the way back. The area is beautiful. You won't regret going to Branson.
We're going back again.
Yeah, we're going to have to go back again. During the regular season so we can see the other stuff. There's a lot of stuff we haven't seen that we want to see.
Like the Dolly Parton Stampede. A lot of people recommend
Yeah, that was closed when we were there. Mm-hmm. The Silver City or whatever it's called was closed when we were there.
We love amusement parks, so we got to go back to Silver City.
And we like outdoors, so doing some hikes and trails and having time for that would be cool too. So there's plenty to do there. Do your itinerary like I do before you go somewhere, and you won't be bored. Don't get there like the couple we ran into and says, I don't know what to do here. I'm like, if you're bored here, I don't know what to tell you about anywhere else you ever go. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll have another video of another location coming up soon.
Bye.
Bye. Let's talk to the...
You go first. Say hi, I'm David.
Okay.